Welcome back, everybody. It's time to take a look at the brand new Metabones Speed Booster. I know it doesn't look like much, but this handy little adapter packs a huge punch and it gives us some very cool capabilities for NEX style cameras. I've got a bunch of lenses with me, a bunch of different cameras, brought the tripod. We're going to test out this Speed Booster, see what we can do with it and what kind of advantages it gives us. All right, so let's take a little bit of time here and just talk about the science behind this adapter, because it really is a nifty object. Now, this is NEX mount on the back and then Canon EF mount on the front. Now, what's great about this is, we've been waiting a long time for some sort of Sony NEX full-frame camera. We do have the VG900, but you got to remember that's an awkward video camera when we're using it for stills. So what's the answer? This is the answer. This is like a full framatron. This literally takes Canon lenses, puts them on, mounting to an NEX body, it transmutes that focal length back to full frame. So for example, if I took a 35mm Canon lens, stuck it on here, put it on my Sony NEX 6 or 7, for example, it's going to behave like a 35mm full frame focal length. No crop factor at all. It totally negates that. And that's awesome. But there's another cool advantage. The way the adapter works, by focusing that extra light, we actually double our light, which translates into a stop faster in exposure time. Now, this is very, very cool. This opens up tons of low light possibilities, gives us faster shutter speeds. It's got great applications whether we're shooting stills or video. Now, of course, it begs the question, what's it going to do to our image quality? How is it going to change it? We do have glass here, so what's going to happen to our resolution? What I want to do today, folks, is take you through and test those things. We're going to see what focal ranges we get. We're going to see what it does to our image quality in terms of resolution and out of focus areas. But it also does some other neat stuff here. We're still going to get things like metering and image stabilization fully supported, so that's very, very cool. And when it comes to autofocus, yes, you still do get autofocus on NEX cameras with the Canon glass, but it is going to be just point to point. We're not going to get any sort of tracking capabilities. Still, better than nothing, and for most applications, we're going to be manually focusing anyways. So let's go do some image quality tests and just see what this can do to our image. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is just kind of test out this focal length business, see what the Speed Booster does here. So for my first shot, I'm going to shoot the LAEA2 adapter with the Zeiss 1635 at 35. Now this is going to give me that 1.5 crop. I'm going to get that roughly 50mm focal length. We take our shot here. Yeah, we can see we are getting a tighter frame than what a 35 should give us. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to switch us over to the Speed Booster with the Sigma 1.4 35mm lens. I'm also going to shoot another shot on the D600 with the same kind of lens, just so we can see if we're getting that actual match to a full frame camera 35. All right, so we've already shot that D600 image with the Sigma 35 1.4, which you can see here. Now I've got the Canon version of that same lens on the Speed Booster on the NEX 7 here, and I'm going to take a shot, and folks, I can already see on the live view here on the back of the screen, we're getting that beautiful full frame cropless view. So very, very nice. It holds true to its promise. We get full frame back. Now here's just another quick little observation, which is really, really cool. Already on the camera with the Speed Booster on here, it's giving me the option to get the faster aperture choice. So I can actually crank this all the way down if I want on this 1.4 lens to 1.0. And indeed, I'm getting the proper exposure with it. So very, very cool, that light gathering capability. We're going to touch on that a bit more too when we do our resolution test next. Okay, so we're going to do a resolution test here. Again, we're shooting the NEX 7 from Sony with the 35mm 1.4 from Sigma on the Speed Booster. I'm going to compare this against the D600 with the 35 1.4 Sigma for that camera. I know it's not apples to apples, but here's the thing. I want to see what this can do with this versus a full frame camera now that we're getting the same focal length. And the NEX 7 being 24 megapixels should have plenty of resolution to deal with here. We're shooting both cameras at ISO 200, but I want to talk a little bit about the aperture shutter speed combination. My Speed Booster is telling me here that I'm shooting 5.6 right now in manual mode, but that's actually having the lens at f8. You got to remember, with that extra light coming in, it's going to represent it as one stop faster than it actually is. And I want that because I want to shoot both res tests with the exact same iris inside the lens. So we have f8 here. Even though it says 5.6, we're compensating with 1,000th of a second. On the D600, I'm going to shoot 500th of a second at f8, and we're going to get basically the exact same exposure. We're going to check the histograms to make sure they're too, but I'm confident that we're going to get a very, very similar result here. Okay, so I finished my D600 shot. We're going to take a look at the photos here in a bit, but here's some observations I've noted. First off, histograms identical. The thing is, with the NEX, you got to remember that your aperture is always going to show one stop wider than it actually is. If it says 5.6, it's f8. If it says f8, it's actually f11. And looking at the files here, we're getting the same depth of field, even though the apertures don't show the same on the back of our screens. But you know, it's really about resolution here, and this is what I was really impressed with. You know, a lot of people are saying the Metabones doesn't cost them any resolution at all. I mean, there's glass in the way. I would think there'd be some, but if there is, it's basically imperceptible. And in practical terms, you're not going to notice the difference. The Metabones is incredibly sharp. The resolution on both cameras is fully maintained very, very nicely. Get past that little aperture thing. Remember that your depth of field is one stop tighter than what it shows on the NEX, and you guys are going to do just fine. All right, now I have found some interesting issues that occur when you try to use the Canon 1.2 glass. Something about the Metabones and NEX camera combination means we cannot get any faster than f1.0. That's what we're going to get with 1.4 lenses. Here with the 1.2, we're not going to gain that inherent half-stop advantage. That's okay though, we're still getting 1.0. But another interesting thing happens too. In your bokeh autofocus areas, specular highlights no longer stay nice and circular with the Metabones. It seems to be exclusive to the faster lenses, but we kind of get these oval shapes. It's not that it's unpleasing to the eye, but you'll notice it if you look for it. You know, first off, resolution, very, very sharp. The thing works great, and we do get that extra stop of light. If you're a Canon user who's looking for a small Sony NEX companion, this is a no-brainer because it just opens up all your lenses to use on that smaller body and to get the aperture choice. If you're a cinematographer, there's a very good chance you already have Canon L glass. And again, this speed booster on something like our FS700 that we use for this show works beautifully. We get that extra light when we need it, and we can open up a whole new line of lenses as well. The only downside I would say with the Metabones Speed Booster is when it comes to autofocus. You know, some cameras that we have tested with, it doesn't support it yet. And other cameras that do support it, you're still not going to get any tracking. So keep that in mind. It is going to be a lot of manually focusing or point-to-point autofocus. Still, it's a great device. It's revolutionary. And you know what's really exciting about it? Imagine when they start coming out with things like Nikon adapters or Sony Alpha Lens adapters. I mean, maybe even Pentax, who knows? Micro Four Thirds is on the horizon. So this is going to open up faster light possibilities with full frame focal lengths in the future for many, many different cameras. A very, very cool, very exciting product. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys soon.